I'm going to call the meeting to order. Will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening and welcome to the Monday, May 12 meeting of the Westport Select Board. Under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20F, this meeting is being recorded. I just have a couple of comments at the beginning of the meeting. First, I want to thank Kurt Hayes, our new moderator, and all of the people that attended town meeting on May 6th. We ended on a pretty good time, and there wasn't as many people there as we would like to see there, but Kurt had his inaugural meeting, and thanks to him for arranging that. I also want to mention we have a number of events planned for Memorial Day. A reminder that we've separated out the wreath laying and the parade. So the wreath laying events are on Saturday, May 24. We start at 9 a.m. at the VFW at State Road, and then we progress to the other monuments. So 9:15 at the American Legion, 9:30 at La Tussa Square, 10 at the Fontaine Bridge, and 10:15 at Westport Point. So that's Saturday, May 24, starting at 9 o'clock for the wreath-laying ceremonies. And then on Monday, May 26, there's a parade. So it starts at Town Hall at, does the parade start at 9:30?
We step off at 9:30.
We step off at 9:30, so you want people to be there at 9, right? All right, so the parade steps off at 9:30 on Monday, May 26. And then there's a brief ceremony at the monument at Town Hall, and then we'll walk up to the Beech Grove Cemetery, and then there'll be an event there at the cemetery. So Saturday, May 24 for the wreath laying, and Monday, May 26 for the parade. If there's inclement weather, we're going to have it the same day, but at the Town Hall Annex, right? If you want more information, you can go to the town website under Veteran Services. The Veterans Agent also has a pretty good Facebook page that the information will be there. And then lastly, we learned of a passing we wanted to share. We want to acknowledge the passing of Douglas Britland. Douglas passed away unexpectedly on April 9 while living in the Dominican Republic. He has previously attended Providence College of Bristol Community College, and he was a police officer here in the town of Westport. After his early retirement, he was briefly a partner in Dirty Harry's in New Bedford. So our sympathies go out to the Britland family. Are there any other announcements, acknowledgements? Okay, thank you. Carol has something. Go ahead. It's Carol Freitas, our Veteran Service Agent.
I'd just like to also mention the flagging of the cemeteries. If anybody wants to join in, anybody who's listening or watching. On Saturday, May 17th at 2 p.m., we will be placing the flags on veterans' graves at Linden Grove and Maple Grove on Reed Road. And then on Sunday, May 18th at 1 p.m., we will be placing the flags at Beech Grove Cemetery. So again, if anybody would like to participate in that, they can, or if a veteran's grave has not been flagged after those dates, they can reach out to me and I will ensure that a flag is placed there.
Thank you, Carol. All right, anything else? Okay. So next on the agenda, we have a public hearing. We have a petition from Verizon New England and NStar Electric Company doing business as Eversource Energy to install one jointly owned mid-span pole 41B 168-50 on the east side of Drift Road in front of 1024 Drift Road. No, just,
did a small rendering to represent what the proposal is.
thank you.
Testing.
Go ahead.
My name's Mike Walengevich. I work for an engineering firm, Network Building Consulting. We're a vendor for Verizon. I'm not sure if everybody's aware of the relationship with Verizon and Eversource. but it's kind of unique. They both jointly own utility poles here in town, but anytime one or the other needs to put up a new pole, relocate a pole, or whatever, it always gets put through Verizon's hands to go to a public hearing for it or to do a private easement and whatnot. And so this request actually came over from Eversource. They're doing an upgrade on the road. I believe it's servicing a resident, but they don't give us, we're not privy to that information. All they're saying is we need a new pole on Drift Road, and they submit in, what pole number and a sketch. We were notified that the gentleman living at 1024 did have some concerns about it. I did reach out. I can't remember your name. I'm sorry, sir.
Stephen Collins.
Stephen Collins. I did reach out, and I promised I'd investigate. He did have concerns. There's 2 existing poles in front of his home that have a pretty good lean to them. And I had to do some research to find out, hey, can we get these corrected? And is this new midspan pole part of this situation? Basically, they need to come from down the street north of 1024 at the intersection of Hicksbridge, and Eversource needs to go from underground to aerial. But starting at the intersection, if you look at the first page, closest to the poles closest to the intersection, it's a 3-phase power, and they're all crisscrossing there. So they can't put a riser pole down to the ground at that pole. And then working your way back, the next pole has a transformer. Same thing, they can't put a riser pole there. So now you get to the third pole, which is at number 1024. That has remote switches on a pole. That's the pole on the first page. So those are remote switches, so they can't put a riser going down to the ground from that pole. So then you go to the next pole down, which is directly in front of 1024, and that pole has power risers and telco risers already feeding the home at 1024 and likely the house across the street. That's already at its max for risers. They can't add any more risers to there. So now they need to go down to the next pole. Well, the next pole has 3 transformers. So it's kicking it so far down the street that they finally said, okay, we need to put a proposed pole in and put a riser from the power down to the ground and allow them to do their dig, to do their upgrade. So that is, to the best of my knowledge, the understanding why Eversource is requesting this.
Can you explain this picture with the,
That's with the proposed midspan pole location. It's the best I could draw, but it was, I figured it represented, they put a stake in the ground sometime over the winter or fall, where they surveyed it, because they have a sweet spot of where they're going to put a midspan pole. Then they try to, split it between 2 existing poles. They try not to put it, 10 or 20 feet from existing. So they try to split properties when they put up poles to make it fair, so it's not directly in front of one home or the other. But they kind of have it at the 2 fences, where it switches from stone to wood.
So, Madam Chair, that's not consistent with these pictures. This picture was based off your plan. So you're saying the pole will go on the south side of that driveway where it says existing P168?
Yes, yeah. I didn't, the sketches that were provided were actually provided from a different vendor. And so I looked at it and I had to double check myself. And when they went out and surveyed it, they put a stake and sent out a photo of the stake. And the stake in the ground was actually, it's right around here. Does it look accurate, sir?
Yeah, it's right on the border.
Yeah, because I agree. The way they originally sketched it looked like it was going to be right here. But no, it's definitely down here.
Madam Chair, I have a
Yeah.
question.
Because otherwise, this gentleman's property has 188.5 feet of frontage, and he was going to have 3 poles directly in front, which was not really nice to do
Okay.
a beautiful area, so.
go ahead, May.
So you said this work is proposed because you're coming underground and you got to go up a riser on the pole?
It has to go back up to aerial to get the
So-
power down to the ground.
What's the underground, what's the underground coming from?
The underground's going to be feeding a manhole system going up to Hicksbridge. But then from there, that's all, they don't give us who it's being fed to as a resident.
Is it an upgrade for a solar facility or
They did not disclose that to me.
like, seeing all the 3-phase up there, has this been upgraded for solar and they're on the existing poles? Are they supposed to upgrade all those poles? That's what my concern is with leaning poles and stuff like that, and they're all overloaded,
This, this gentleman was concerned because he said the pole, he sent over a pretty nasty photo of the pole right in front of his home. So I did express to the Verizon engineer, can we talk to Eversource about getting these corrected? Eversource engineer came back and said, well, Verizon, it's on you guys because you guys set poles in town. So I literally, about 2 hours ago, I got an email back saying we will correct those 2 poles and put new poles up and put nice, straight, brand-new poles in front of this gentleman's house.
Okay, but the proposal that what you're asking us to approve right now is not the location that's shown in this diagram that we got. It's the location further down that you.
That is correct, and the third page of this rendering.
And also straighten the pole that's bending.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to put new poles up. They're not
Okay,
going
so
to try
but
to,
that's the request right now to approve
Yes,
that.
please.
All right, did you?
Madam Chair. So, but one concern that I would have for the neighbors is if this is coming out of a solar facility, these riser poles, we have a bylaw that stuff's supposed to be underground. And we had one right over here on Main Road that got put in before we started saying this is supposed to be underground, and everyone since that's been fixed. But that's why my concern is if it's coming out of a solar facility and all these big poles, you know, they're leaning, obviously, we get a storm, it's not.
I
with
fully
that
agree.
up there.
This gentleman and I had definitely
And I know
spoken.
if you're working for Verizon, Verizon's concerned with the communication and all of that stuff, but possibly, maybe that run should be all underground and that, all those transformers and stuff set on pads. You know, if
But
it's coming from a solar facility and they're supposed to upgrade it, I think we should probably look into that for the neighbors before they,
And I'm not
do
privy
this work.
to, yeah, I mean, of course, we're not privy, they don't give us
Right.
who the end resident, end user this upgrade's being done for. Is there a solar farm proposed in this area?
I don't, you know, I'm just getting this now, so.
No, but I mean, has Eversource come to you or a solar company?
Solar will be, it goes through the planning board first, and then all poll locations do come before the select board. But like I said, when this one went on Main Road went up, I mean, all of a sudden, 3 poles just popped up, and I can't tell you how many calls we got from everybody in the neighborhood wondering what's going on.
Right, 'cause-
But where he's already addressed the concerns, and they have to upgrade the pole lines, so I would think those 3 poles that have all the equipment, it looks like for a solar facility, should probably be ground-mounted and eliminate the poles.
Okay, but we're, you know, I obviously can't speak to what Eversource's client is like, you know, we can speculate,
I think
but
before
it's
we-
weird.
I mean, I would recommend before we issue the poll, we get more information for the neighbor.
Okay. Is there,
What is the
I can only
information
vote
that-
one way, but I'm just saying that's the way I would vote.
But what's the information that you'd want to get at a future meeting?
Well, she said it's coming from an underground, so if it's coming from an underground, is it coming from a residence, is it coming from?
all I know is it's.
I'm just looking
it's-
at the equipment, and I kind of do that for a living, so I'm kind of,
Well, I'm just trying to make sure that if we delay, if we postpone the hearing, I want to make sure that we get the right information back so that we can make a decision at that time. So, but when we have, if you're saying it should be underground, it sounds like it is underground for a certain amount of time. But are you saying that this connection that they're trying to make should be completely underground and not ever hit
if
the
it's
poles?
if it's coming out of a solar facility, we've gone over this in the planning board, and so that now anyone after Main Road some of them were approved before, but any one of them after Main Road was changed. So this one, it looks like if they don't change it, they need to do poles anyway. So I couldn't see them, you know, they haven't upgraded it yet to get it underground. And, you know, this guy's, doesn't want another pole in front of his house, never mind all that equipment.
Sure. Yeah, I don't have an answer on that, but if it's a ground-based solution, they'll have to find, obviously, a neutral spot to put it on our town-owned land, I would assume, for an easement. But, okay, we can investigate that.
So what's the pleasure of the board? Do we want to postpone the hearing and get more information, or do we want to go ahead and make a decision tonight?
I mean, my recommendation would be to postpone it, just because if they don't get the okay to put the new pole in for the work, it'll give them more reason to resolve the neighbor's issue.
All right, so I think the motion we need to be continue the hearing until, is 2 weeks enough time to get that?
What is it, June 2nd?
Oh, we're not meeting in 2 weeks. So I think the motion would be to continue the hearing until 6:05 on June 2nd.
I'd make that motion, Madam Chair.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Did you have something?
I just wanted to add one more thing. If perhaps they confirm, oh, no, this is not a solar farm, and this is strictly an upgrade within Eversource's needs, does that change any thought on the redesign?
We could okay the location of the pole, but it wouldn't address the neighbors'
Of course.
issue with the poles that are in need of repair.
I just want to make sure that when we go back to Eversource, we say, we need a continuance. Is this a solar farm? Yes. Oh, no, it's not. Okay, can you do a redesign? I just want to make sure that we transfer the information over to them correctly, so we get it redesigned before we waste everybody's time and come back and be like, nope.
And I'd also want to, because the material that we had the wrong location, so I'd want to revise those.
I agree. It's kind of odd, like, it wasn't a great sketch.
Okay,
I thought it was next to his driveway as well.
all right.
And then we investigated and saw that, no, it was not.
All right, and you're the homeowner, right? Yes. Did you have any additional, if you're going to say much, you have to go to a mic, but did you have anything additional that you wanted us to bring to the next hearing?
I understand why. You know, what's
Why
going
they
on.
need the hear, why they need the
Put an extra pole in. I mean, if there's a good explanation, well, so be it, but
All right, so we're looking for more information about why we need the poll and whether the reason now has different requirements for the location, right?
Absolutely.
And you've seen that location, right? Have you been to that location?
No, they sent me photos
Okay.
of the stake in the ground showing, and
Okay.
and so as soon as I saw
Because it
that.
is pretty residential there. I don't see, there's no open fields, maybe further down there is for solar, but it just, like Sean and Manny said, I think it seems strange that they're just kind of plopping that down there. I mean, across the street is another residence, and there's, so is it needed for some other reason that we're not aware of? Now, I believe the fiber optics or Verizon has that old office right across the street, so that may be where it's coming from underground. Did you say Verizon?
No, it's definitely north of that, because
Okay.
Verizon wouldn't need that much power.
Yeah, okay, all right, then, it's a little bit more further
Sure.
explanation, I think.
End user request really is what we need. Who is the end user and why they're requesting it? Is it a solar farm? Then let's do a redesign. If it's not, tell us why you need to do this particular.
In that one spot,
engineering
it's just,
design.
you're not even splitting the difference between the poles either, it's just kind of closer to the.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of split.
As close as you
Yeah.
can.
Once again, they were trying to, they like to
To get
split
out of the
property
driveway.
owners rather than just putting it solely in one.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to continue the hearing. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So it's 4 with 1 absent. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank
see you
everyone.
again, or somebody else.
Oh, no, you feel lucky.
So the next item we have is license and permits. We have a request from the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation to hold their annual Cycle of Life ride on Saturday, September 20, with a rain date of Sunday, September 21. And paperwork, we have the paperwork for everything. I think it was mislabeled on the, yeah, everything is in order. And we have a police recommendation.
We do.
All right.
Move approval. Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's 4 yes and 1 absent. We have a request from Buzzards Bay Coalition to hold their annual Buzzards Bay Watershed Ride on October 5th, 2025. That one also has all the paperwork and a favorable recommendation.
That's correct.
Motion to approve.
second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's 4 yes and 1 absent. We have a request from the Narragansett Bay Wheelmen to hold their annual bike ride on September 7, 2025. That one, the paperwork also all in order.
That's correct.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll move approval.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Did you vote on that, or are you?
Aye,
Aye, okay, that's unanimous. Welcome, Mr. Brewer.
thank you. Sorry I'm late.
That's okay. The next item we have is 3A. We have a request from Ed Rees to be appointed to the Long-Term Building Committee for a 1-year term. And we have a spot on the Long-Term Building Committee available, I believe. Is there any discussion? What's the,
Motion to approve.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. We have a request from Tom Oven, the superintendent, to appoint the following to the respective committees. So these are the school committee representatives to the various committees. Dick, you pointed out that Evan Gendro is already appointed member
Yes.
of the audit committee.
According to the bylaws, audit committee terms are 3 years. And Mr. Gendro was appointed by this committee last year, and it would have been for a 3-year term. So
Okay.
that was erroneous.
Okay.
That's a common mistake.
Okay, so we're gonna skip him because he's already on there. So I will entertain a motion to appoint the following: Christopher Thrasher to the Capital Improvement Planning Committee, Jason Pacheco, the Cable Advisory Board, Evan Gendro and Caitlin Sampers to the School Building Committee, Evan Gendro to the Long-Term Building Committee, Fred Melnick and Caitlin Sampers to the ADA Transition Team.
I move approval of those names as presented.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye, that's unanimous. We have a request from the Southeastern Massachusetts Metropolitan Planning Organization, SMMPO. It's set to appoint a select board representative, but this is asking us if we want to nominate someone from our board. So this is a multi-town sort of thing, so we can nominate someone if anyone is interested in serving on this committee, or we can not.
I'll volunteer.
You want to nominate yourself to be nominated? Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So do we need a motion for that?
Yeah, motion to submit the
nominate.
nomination of,
Okay.
Yes, yes is the answer. I nominate Mr. Soares for that position.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. So we'll nominate you, and then Jim will let you know what's going on. This one is a very sad one. We have a request from Chris Leonard, Director of Marine Services, to accept his resignation dated May 2nd, effective July 2, 2025. I think at the meeting we had right before town meeting, we agreed to post this position, but I don't know that we accepted the resignation, or this is a modified date from the resignation.
we did not accept the.
Yeah, we didn't accept the resignation, so we did vote to post it, but we didn't accept the resignation. So that's what we would need here. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to accept resignation.
Yeah, and thank him for his service to the town and the work he's contributed to the restructuring and of the harbor services function.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain.
Okay, that's 4 yes and 1 abstain. We have posted the position of Director of Marine Services, and have we had some applicants so far?
We do, we have 2 applicants,
Yep.
one outside, one in-house.
Okay. And when does that close? Do we have a closing?
I don't know offhand.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have resumes on both of them?
We have resumes on one, I don't know, I'm assuming the second one I haven't seen, I've only seen one.
Okay, next item, we have, we're going to appoint lifeguards for the season. Mr. Dutra is going to abstain because he is very close with someone on this list. So I will entertain a motion to appoint the following lifeguards for 2025. Michael Crotow, Daniel Barnes, Andrew Dunn, Leonard Hatcham, Coltrane McGonigal, Brandon Medeiros, Luke Medeiros, Avery Viveros, Hunter Quintal, Anton A.J. Boxler, Marcus Dutra Africano, Elijah McGonigal, and Philip Bromedge. Somebody say so moved.
Second.
No,
Oh,
You
I
would
move
move
it. I'll move it.
someone
moved.
second. Did you second that?
I second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so that's 4 yes and 1 abstain. We have a request from Dana Stewart, Recreation Director, to appoint the following recreation staff. And Jim pointed out to me, we haven't always appointed these folks, but we need to, right?
Yeah, we've hired them in the past as contract positions, but rules have changed and they're considered employees now, so we need to appoint them.
Okay. So I will entertain a motion to appoint Shelby Orr, Tess Sylvia, Julia George, Jenna Egby, Chloe Baker, and Mija McManus to the recreation staff.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. And then we have a request to appoint a select board representative to the following committees. We have the Safety Regulation Board, the MBTA Growth Management, Railroad Commission, Tax Incentive, and Westport River Watershed. So Dick really wants to be the Railroad Commissioner.
I would like to be, but there are other qualified people here.
But there are other people, if you want to arm wrestle Dick for the Railroad Commissioner. And was there another one that you were?
Well, I was, the MBTA Growth Management Task Force, I'm not sure if that's related to the Railroad Commissioner's job, but it's certainly related to the railroads because it's about building housing adjacent to or nearby MBTA stations. So if nobody else is interested, I would just go do that as well. But I honestly, other than reading about it on the government website, it didn't really give me much more.
No, I think that'd be a good idea, Dick. Yeah.
Yeah, all right, so we've got Dick volunteering for 2, and then,
I'd volunteer for the Westport River Watershed Council.
all right, Jake, you want any of these?
You can put me on the other two. I was going to do Westport River Watershed as well, but that's fine.
Okay. Are there anybody, we're going to do the appointments for the rest of the committees, but if there's any committees that you don't want to be the select board representative on anymore, then kind of make a note of that.
I mean, if you really want it, I'll let it go.
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah.
I'll do those 3. I was just going to fill in because it
And
was
and Dick,
Repolet's.
if you need any help on those other ones, don't feel free to reach out to me. Anything I can do to help you out, you know?
Okay, thank you.
All right, so you're saying Jake for the watershed?
Sure, I'll do those.
All right, so I will entertain a motion to appoint Jake McGuigan to the Safety Regulation Board, Dick Brewer to MBTA Growth Management Task Force, Dick Brewer to Railroad Commissioner, Jake McGuigan to Tax Incentive Program Committee, and Jake McGuigan to the Westport River Watershed Council. Is there any discussion?
I mean, I'll take the safety regulation if nobody wants that. Did you say you had somebody for that?
Jake?
Jake's got that one?
Yeah, I was just filling in because
Jake,
of
you're not-
Representative
you're not-
Letts.
you're
I'm
not-
not on any committees
Yeah,
anyway,
right.
so I was just taking those over.
You can
You
have.
got, aren't you a long-term building and
Yeah, no, I'm gonna be pretty
infrastructure?
full, but
You got
I
some
just
good
didn't
ones.
want Jake to get overloaded, no.
I think they'll-
These are my only 3.
No problem.
Okay, does anybody, go
This would be
ahead.
for the remainder of this year and next year's.
I'm sorry?
Remainder of this year and next year.
Oh, the remainder, so through June and then
Yeah.
starting June to the next.
Looking at Paula to make sure I'm okay, yeah?
other words,
Yeah.
Okay, so it would be from whenever you get sworn in until July or June 30th, 2026.
So just to.
There is an election in between there.
We're not appointing next year's committees yet.
Yeah, we have it on the agenda.
Oh, that's interesting. I'll talk to it, speak to that issue when it comes up.
Okay. All right, so did we have a motion? Sure, those, okay, I'm looking for a motion to appoint basically Jake and Dick to these.
Can I make a motion? Second?
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. The FY 2026 appointments. So Paula has started gathering, she started gathering the committees, the people who want to be reappointed to the committees. So this sheet that you have in front of you is, and that was in our packet, is not all of the committees we have to appoint, right? It's just the ones that you were able to get confirmation that these are the ones.
Okay, because I'm seeing some committees that I'm on, and one that I chaired that wasn't listed, that's
It
why.
wasn't listed, yeah. So this is just a partial list. She's just trying to knock them
Okay,
off
got
as
it.
she gets it.
Okay.
Okay.
So are these the ones that are up to be reappointed? Because I noticed my name for the Climate Resiliency Committee, so is that to re-up it? Okay, reappointment,
So
okay.
these are, so can you just, did you get the chair of the committees confirmed, or these people confirmed that they won?
These are from the chair.
So these are, the chair is wanting to roll them into the next, into,
I'm not, climate resiliency, I'm not,
That's-
it came from Michael Burris.
Okay.
So I don't think that he's the chair, but he gave me the list.
no, he would.
But he oversees.
He would be the one who would know.
Okay.
He would have the list. Okay, so, so these are appointments, these are all one-year appointments?
They're all 1 year unless it's noted. There are. some that-
Okay, so there's,
So I noted if they're more than 1 year.
okay. So we have a lot of names here. So we're just gonna read them, and then if there's any that you want to put a hold on, put a hold on it. So, so we'll vote them all together, except for any that have the hold. So we have the ADA Transition Team, Richard Brewer and Shauna Tees, Affirmative Action Officer, James Hartnett, Americans with Disability Act Coordinator, James Hartnett, Assistant Harbor Master, William Chase Jr., Raymond Jarvis, Ransom Morse, Joshua Mosher, Douglas Murphy, Jonathan Paul, James Perry, William Shaw, Gary Tripp. Board of Appeals alternate, Janice Day and George Stelgis. Capital Improvement Planning Committee, Sue Brayton, Richard Brewer, Theodora Gabriel, James Hartnett, Miro Kotsaka, Al Lees, Nicole Pearsall, Brian Valcourt.
Hold.
We have the Chief Procurement Officer, James Hartnett. Climate Resiliency Committee, Donna Amaral, John Bullard, Jeff Canton, Kevin Kurt, Robert Daler, Constance Gee, Sean Leach, Jake McGuigan, Ross Moran, Ray Raposa, Mark Rasmussen, Michael Sullivan, Shauna Tees, Anthony Vivenzio, Philip Weinberg, and James Whiten, and Michael Yogman. And then-
I think you might have just, Wendy Nicholas was the top. I think you just.
Oh, Wendy Nicholas, sorry. Thank you. And then we have for a 3-year term on the Commission of Disability, Brian Gallagher. Community Preservation Committee, Betty Slade and Dale Weber. 3-year term for the Conservation Commission and Soil Conservation Board. This is 3-year term for Jason Powell and Philip Weinberg. Council on Aging, 3-year term for Muriel Kosaka and David Lilima. Custodian of Tax Title Properties, Sue Brayton. Economic Development Task Force, Morris May. Educational Fund Committee, Sue Brayton. Harbor Advisory Committee, Milton Adams, John Azevedo, Edward Carey, Alexander Preston, Carl Tripp. Hazard Mitigation Plan Committee, Daniel Baldwin, Michael Burris, Christopher Dunn, Philip Weinberg, James Whiten. Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act Coordinator, James Hartnett. Internet Advisory Board, David Cole, Kathy Lanier, Keith Novo, Renee Kochman, Shauna Tees. Liquor Licensing Agent to the Board of Selectmen, Christopher Mello. Municipal Coordinator of the Right to Know Law, Daniel Baldwin. Municipal Liaison to State Ethics Commission, James Hartnett. National Organization on Disability Representative, James Hartnett. Parking Enforcement Officer, James Perry. Principal Records Access Officer, Kristen Stinson. Public Safety Staffing Committee, Daniel Baldwin, Christopher Dunn, James Hartnett. Public Wear, Nicholas Gitaboni, Richard Puddle. Safety Regulation Board, Christopher Gonzalez. Secondary Records Access Officer, Daniel Baldwin, Christopher Capone, Christopher Dunn, James Hartnett, Dio Wheeler, Nicole Pearsall. Shellfish Advisory Committee, Christopher Brewster, William Chase Jr., Kenneth Manchester, Richard Smith. Shellfish Constable, Bill Chase Jr., Raymond Jarvis, Ransom Morse, Joshua Moser, Douglas Murphy, Jonathan Paul, James Perry, William Shaw, Gary Tripp. Sick Leave Bank Committee, Nicole Pearsall and Shauna Tees. SMHG Representative Alternate, Sue Brayton. Southeastern Mass Health Group Representative, James Hartnett. Southeastern Regional Transit Authority Advisory Board Rep, Richard Brewer. SERPID, James Hartnett. Tax Incentive Program Committee, Sue Brayton. Waterways Oil Spill Coordinator, Daniel Baldwin. And Wellness Coordinators, Southeast Mass Health Group, Kristen Stinson.
Madam Chair, the Serpent, I thought I was going to be on the Serpent.
Serpent should be the JTPG, Serpent JTPG for,
SERPID JTPG, so a different one.
we made that appointment was made at the last meeting or the meeting before.
All right, so we had a hold on Brian Balcourt. Do you want to?
Yeah, I'm at least the former chairman of the CIPC. Brian is the construction representative, and he's always done a great job. Of course, he was here as a selectman. He's not been able to attend meetings of late, so I think we ought to just verify his availability. Maybe we could ask the town administrator to do that before we put him on the committee. He may not be interested.
Okay, so Paula, can you reach out to Brian on that one? So I will entertain a motion to approve everybody that I just mentioned except Brian Balcourt for the Capital Improvement Planning Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. So for any of you that are listening whose name was read, you have to go to the town clerk's office and get sworn in, right? Do you have all these? Not yet. Okay, so maybe give Paula some time. How much time do you need? A couple weeks? Okay. Okay, she'll let you know when.
Thank you.
And then there's more committees appointments coming up, right? Okay. We have action items. We have 4A is a request to approve the energy management service contract with B2Q Associates for town hall heat pump and weatherization projects. So Jim will explain this more, but this is the contract that we previously did approve in a meeting. But it has a special procurement process that's unique to these energy projects, and we hadn't properly followed those procurement. We hadn't posted it properly. So That's why it's coming before us again. We did hear from a local business owner that asked about this particular contract, and that company was not qualified to bid, but they were, it was suggested to them that they contact BTQ to see if there was an opportunity for contracting with them. So, Jim, you want to explain to us?
Yeah, so this is for the HVAC project here at Town Hall. We discussed in detail, I think at the last meeting, the contract that was voted on at that meeting is essentially the same contract you have here tonight. It's a different procurement process. This goes through the energy systems, a different chapter of Mass General laws that I've never used before, but before I dated the contract and sent it in, we went through and reviewed all the statutes, and it says that it should be posted 10 days prior to the meeting that it's voted on. So we had posted it as part of the meeting agenda, but not 10 days prior. So we reposted it, and it's back before you tonight.
Okay, any discussion? What's the pleasure of the board?
It's pretty much just housekeeping and basically what you're doing.
Just tell you, it's the same contract that was approved last
So
year.
moved.
Approval.
So we have a motion and a second. Did you get that, Paula? One of them moved once. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye, opposed?
Opposed.
So we have 4 in favor, 1 opposed.
And just to clarify my opposition, I was opposed to the project from the get-go, the original project, so I obviously would not support moving forward on a contract. Thank you.
4B, we have a request to approve the employment agreement for Chris Gonzalez, the highway surveyor. So this is the contract that we discussed in the executive session, right?
Yes, no changes to what we talked about. I talked to Mr. Gonzalez, and he was in agreement with the contract as proposed.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, would like to move that contract.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. On the Westport River Watershed Alliance, to hang a banner from June 6 through June 21 promoting River Day to be held on June 21.
Motion
We
to-
still have, are we still allowing 2 banners? Okay. Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. We have a request from Chris Gonzalez, the highway surveyor, to approve the Mass DOT 2024 paving improvements project reimbursement for $1,016,637. Jim?
Yeah, so this is part of the street program that we do on a yearly basis. We get Chapter 90 funding, or is what they call it, Chapter 90 funding, which is funding directly coming from the state, Mass DOT. Once the project is complete or periodically, the town pays the contractor for the work, and then we seek reimbursement through the state. So this is the reimbursement for the work that was completed last season, and work has been, the contractors have been paid. So this is just a reimbursement request that goes up to Mass DOT, and once it's in, we get reimbursement for the work that's been done.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Go ahead.
I just have a question on the process in that Chapter 90. So the work that's being done on, obviously on the north end with the water lines and Gifford Road, would that be part of the contract currently to put it back to its original, or would this be Chapter 90 in the future that we use for that?
So this here is reimbursement for
Last
last year's
year.
work. So we will get another allocation from the state for Chapter 90 funds this year. The work up there on Route 6, Gifford Road, Osborne, Greenwood, and Route 6, East Briggs Road, is under contract through a grant, through ARPA funds, and as part of that contract, as part of that grant, it includes resurfacing
Okay.
those roads. That won't come from.
It won't
Chapter
come from the
90, separate funding source, but it
Nope.
is covered in the contract.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so what's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. We have a request to approve, I'm sorry, request to approve the change order for Pear Corporation for the Route 177 roundabout design project. Jim?
So this has been under design now, I think, for 4, maybe 5 years. And it's typical for these types of projects. Anything that goes through this Mass Highway, Mass DOT design process, it's a 4 to 6 year process for design. It's a 3 to 4 year process for funding. Right now, we are currently on the Transportation Improvement Plan with the Regional Planning Agency, SERPIT, and Mass DOT for funding. In either 2026, we may have been bumped back to 2027. but it's for $4.5 million. As this goes through the design process, and I've done a few of these in another community, Mass DOT policies and design requirements change on occasion. And as part of this, they're now requesting borings for the underground utilities for the lighting, and they want specific lighting design. Originally, when PAR priced the job, they had anticipated using the standard design requirements for Mass DOT for these type of projects, but Mass DOT wants a specific design for this project. So that is the two changes, one for borings and, or not borings, test pits, and the other is for the design of the lighting.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So is that going to affect the one over at Gifford Road for the lighting? Are they going to request that over there too?
So that one, we're going through the different process, right? We're doing that one as like a permit. It's like a, I don't know, street opening permit, a Mass, you're familiar with that Mass DOT permit. So we did get comments back on there for the first preliminary design, and Power Engineering is addressing those. We did do borings where the foundation would go for the overhead blinking light. It shouldn't be much more. It's supposed to be a fairly simple design over there at Gifford and 177.
Yeah, well, if you recall, when that came out, I had asked, since they were only recommending a flashing light, that if we were going through all this permitting process, to make sure that if it could be changed into a regular light in the future, that things be designed that way. Those other lights are more heavy and, you know, possibly more ductwork installed at that time.
I can check with Power and see if that's,
Yeah, well, at that time, you had said that you,
I would check. And
yeah, so it's probably,
I may have checked. It's been a while, but I don't.
yeah, I think it was, yeah, it was up there.
All right, any other discussion on the change order for the roundabout sign?
Chair,
Yep.
just a quick question. So Jim, on that roundabout, I think in the past 4 or 5 years, that kind of neighborhood has changed dramatically, and now we're talking about a lighting design change. Have they, I know the state has basically full authority on this, but has, you know, will that come into play of the impact to the neighbors and the houses that are there that weren't there 4 or 5 years ago? There's probably now, as you know, probably 6 or 7 houses that would face that roundabout. With respect to what type of lighting, I mean, this flashing light, you know, what's it gonna look like with respect to whose houses are now facing that roundabout?
It's a good question. I could have, they haven't designed it yet, right?
Okay.
So this would be for the lighting design. Once we get that design, we could have them
Okay.
present at either one of these meetings or,
I think,
Madam Chair. Yeah, one of my things on that too is because, I mean, as you were on the planning board with me when this was proposed, I think Chief Pelletier at the time is the one that wanted the roundabout. And we actually had in front of us flexible frontage on all them lots over there have less than the frontage in there, so I don't know. Just a little concerning that, you know, some of them people, I think one of them even sold their house when they found out the roundabout, that they just purchased it, roundabout was coming through. I would just want to make sure that, you know, whatever. My opinion is we only needed a set of lights there, but I don't know what the disturbance on a roundabout's going to be in 177.
and you said possible construction on that wouldn't be till 2027 or at least?
I think it's going to be 2027.
If there's
possibly
money even-
26, but I don't,
If there's money available.
it seems to be getting bounced back on the tip.
Okay.
Yeah, and it might be something that they're not interested in either, and they'll just keep kicking the can down the road. But if we're gonna spend money on the borings for the lighting and all of that, I mean, I think that's something that can be used no matter what. So I
Yeah.
don't see a problem with that.
All right, so what's the pleasure on this change order? You want to approve the change order or not approve the change order?
I will make a motion to approve the change order, not in support of a roundabout.
All in favor?
All right.
Excuse me, that's unanimous. Town administrator report.
Yeah, the state budget continues to work its way through the process. Massachusetts Senate Ways and Means Committee has released their FY26 budget recommendations. Again, it's in line with what we had proposed throughout our budget process. It's a slight improvement of about $25,000, so it's on the good side. It still hasn't been completed, and there still can be some changes, but right now, it's consistent with what's been approved for town meeting and what's been estimated. Municipal Energy Aggregation Program. This is the town's energy program available to all the residents. Over the years, it's delivered substantial savings to the residents. We participate in a purchasing group with 25 other municipalities, which allows us to get competitive pricing throughout the bidding process. So on Wednesday, May 7th, the town participated in the bid process, the bid opening. Following unanimous vote by the group, they agreed to a new 36-month electric service agreement. This will not take effect until November or December of this year, so these rates will not change until then. But right now, our current rate is .15784 per kilowatt hour, and the new rate will be almost a penny and a half less than that. I'm sorry, almost half a penny less than that. It'll be .1436, and that'll be good for 3 years, starting, I think it's November, but it could possibly be December. So that was, the group itself and the consultant that we deal with in this process was very excited with the pricing. It came in better than they anticipated. The Waterline project on Route 6, just an update. Approximately almost 14,000 feet of water main has been installed. The curb stops, which is the connection from the main to the property line, have been installed on Osborne, Gifford Road. There may be a couple that are left on Route 6, but for the most part, they're all in. They're going to go to East Briggs, I believe, this week to finish off those curb stops to the property lines. They're looking to start service connections into the structures within the next week to 10 days. They've already been out. Roger Fernandez, our project manager, has already been out to many of these houses, has gone in the basement. They've drilled the hole for the foundation. They've located the area where it's going to be, and they've staked it outside. So that process is in the works. We've also looked at some additional temporary patching on Gifford Road, mainly in the area of CVS, just up from Route 6, at the end of Briggs Road and over near the school. So they're looking at milling down those patches, extending the milling out a foot or two beyond the patch, repatching those areas so that when it's overlaid in the fall with the final product, it'll give us a better product. It'll also be a better patch throughout the summer.
Madam Chair. Jim, the other day I was out there asking if we had done all our compaction testing and materials testing on that. Still haven't been provided with those reports. I was kind of detained and didn't make it to that meeting. Could you just find out if we have all the test results for all the materials, the Proctors, the sieves, and the compaction testing? I believe we had 2 consultants. We had a project manager and a testing firm. Just want to confirm that they did the work.
Yep, I
Before we
get that.
patch and spend all this money on the patching, because it's been a lot of complaints as of late with settlements and so forth and all that.
Yep,
Just been out of the loop a little bit, so I didn't see if any compaction was done.
okay, I can get that for you. Oh, the final main, the only part of the main that hasn't been done is under the Bread and Cheese Brook. That's been permitted and designed. We're just waiting for pricing from the contractor, and once he gets that, we'll give him the go-ahead, and that'll complete all the main work. So they are on schedule. So far, it's going good. There are some concerns, some complaints, but overall, I think the project has been going fairly well. As the project manager has been entering some of these houses where the people want their water, he said that some of these people are very, very excited about the water being connected to their house, their water quality. They haven't been drinking the water. There were a couple, or at least one, where the actual well was pretty close to being dry, so all the water they've been using has been carted in. So this, for the people that need it, this is a very good project.
Madam Chair. Jim, so you said it's permitted under the Bread and Cheese Brook. What did that entail? Are they boring under there? Are they using the existing aqueduct?
Using the aqueduct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's all I have for you.
All right, thank you. We have minutes of April 28 and May 6.
Motion to approve, April 28th meeting?
Second?
Any
This one, I didn't make it to that meeting, right? The one at the,
You were there.
Oh, you were there.
okay.
This is just April 28 or May 6 also?
I also approve that one as well.
Okay, so both of them.
Both.
That's- I wasn't
Is
at.
there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. That's unanimous. Report on the bill warrant.
We have a worthy substitute on the.
Ooh, it wasn't you.
Then there was another worthy substitute right there.
Yes, Manny,
Oh, thank you.
There was a substitute to the.
I happen to be around town.
Who reviewed the bill warrant? You
I
did?
did, yes, I did.
Okay, and it was fine? Okay.
There was a couple of large things, but I checked them out and fell in line with the last ones.
Okay, good team effort,
This could be
gentlemen.
a full-time job for Mr. Silver.
If I'm around town, I don't mind helping.
So the next item we have is liaison committee reports or suggestions for future agenda items. So Craig,
none of my committees met since the last board meeting, so got nothing new to report.
okay. Dick?
One item that has to do with the audit committee. This is the time of year when we ask Town Auditor, Mr. Anthony Roselli, to report into the board, the select board, either in person or on the screen. He's willing to do that. We'll check with him for available dates, maybe in the next meeting or the one after that, if that meets the pleasure of the select board. We'll arrange that.
Thank you. Anything else?
That's all.
I don't think any of my committees met, so I don't have any updates.
I mean, mine, looks like Jimmy's answered all those questions I had on that, so in my absence, I believe he took care of it.
Okay. Jake, anything from you?
No, I'm all set. Thank you, Shona.
All right, so just a reminder that our next meeting is in 3 weeks because of the Memorial Day holiday, but we hope to see you on Saturday, May 24th at 9 a.m. at the VFW, and we'll go lay the wreaths, and then Monday, May 26th at 9:30 for the parade. Is there anything, I don't see anyone from the public, is there anything else?
Sean, I just,
Yep.
on the topics not anticipated, Jim, myself, and Jason Powell met with President from the Masonic Lodge on Hicks Bridge, and Jason and I this Thursday will be going to meeting with the lodge itself to hopefully see if we can come to a agreement on maybe using that landing in the fashion it should be used. So we're going to hopefully meet on Thursday evening and have some good discussions with them and hopefully move that forward, so.
Good, thank
Through
you.
the chair. I'd recommend when you go up there, see if you can get a copy of the original agreement.
Jim has provided me with all the stuff that was there before, prior to. So I think we should be good.
Everything I have,
You forwarded it to me?
Yeah.
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Well, there should be something in the registry of deeds, however it was set up when it was, whether we gave it to them, they paid for it.
No, that's their land. That is their land. That was used back during construction from the old Hicks Bridge. The town used it to access and bring that crane in to fix Hicks Bridge originally. And then, obviously, with zero protection from liability, I think the Masonic Lodge got concerned with having a liability issue using that ramp. So that's what kind of led to last year's events. So
I'm thinking going back into when the Masonic Lodge purchased it, I believe they got it from the town. So that's what I'd be concerned.
Okay.
Whatever the agreement was with the town, like when the school was donated, it was donated for school use. If the town doesn't use it for that, it goes back to the people who donated. I think Holy Ghost Club was the same way. And, if you have, I know during the planning board, they actually did an A&R plan to sell a piece of that to the neighbor, and they built a garage on it. But, back talking to old man Dave Martin in the 90s, he told me that any of that was supposed to go back to the Martins. So, that'd be like another title that we could look into. But I'll take care of that one this summer. But I think that's kind of the situation. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. We're adjourned.